their directory or not.
Right.
So, yeah. But you got to train people to do that sometimes because people are busy and to do, a lot of people have caller ID as well. Okay, so the meeting is now streaming online. This is great. So we're going to have a very small meeting today, obviously, which will begin in 1 minute. Randolph will probably pop in at the last minute as well.
Do we have enough? We have evaluators then?
We only need one.
Oh,
I have Randolph listed and Jim Gould, so I figured that Randolph would evaluate Chris Gould and Jim Gould would evaluate Mary Helen Day.
All right, good morning, early birds. It's 7 o'clock. Let's get this meeting started. I'm your Sergeant at Arms, Jim Gould. Today is August the 8th, and in 1988, the lights went on at Wrigley Field in Chicago. So let's bring the light to Toastmasters today. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop leadership and communication skills that foster personal growth and self-confidence. Everyone needs to practice good Zoom etiquette. I know you all do. Please keep your microphone muted unless you're actively involved in the conversation, and remember to unmute yourself to speak. We want to see you. Keep your camera turned on during the meeting unless you do not wish to participate, and be aware that the camera sees everything. Now, help me welcome our presiding officer to the center square, our president, Toastmaster Alita Richmond.
yay, 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 woo! Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and any guests who will eventually see this recording. Welcome to Earlybird Toastmasters, the peak of the week. So happy to see you here. We do have a scant attendance this morning for a lot of reasons, but we'll just go ahead on with what we need to do. We're going to, does anybody have any information for the good of the club first? Yes, Jim Day, timer.
Okay, everybody should have received an email from Toastmasters International that now the portal to pay your dues for the next 6 months is now open and available. So you can go directly online to TI and pay your annual or your semi-annual dues. At this point in time, we still have enough money in our bank account that we're not charging any local membership dues. That should carry on for about another 6 months to a year.
Okay, great.
Back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to our meeting, I call upon, I'm doing this again because I love your name, Maria Teresa Montealegre, who will do the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and any guests that might arrive. Today, I will do the invocation with a Sanskrit proverb. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lies all, the realities and verities of our existence, the bliss of growth, the splendor of action, the glory of power. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. And with that, I pass, Madam President. Oh, the Pledge of Allegiance, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think
Thank
I
you.
continue with the joke.
Yes, I believe that Terry is going to continue with the humorous message. Oops. Oh, you're muted, honey. Sorry.
I have a couple of little jokes. Did you hear about the Mexican train killer? He had locomotives. Just to continue with the train. What do you call a dog who can do magic? A labracadabrador. And that's it for me, guys, before I make you cry.
Okay. All righty. Okay, and next I call upon our grammarian, and that would be May. Let me get this up here. Our word of the day is transformation. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
A dramatic change in form or appearance. An important event like getting your driver's license, going to college, or getting married can cause a transformation in your life. An earthquake may result in the landscape undergoing a radical transformation. So that is the word of the day, transformation. And since I'm the presiding officer, we will now go on to our self-introductions, and I encourage everybody to attempt to use the word of the day, transformation, in their self-introduction. Call upon distinguished Toastmaster Jim Day.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and Madam President. I am your treasurer and your timer for today. And 8 years ago tomorrow, my grandson and his wife had a transformation with their birth of their first child. And this month they had another transition in that he started preschool.
Oh.
Madam Presiding Officer.
Okay, great. Next we have Toastmaster Jim Gould.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and all the guests I'm not seeing somehow in my Zoom. I'm competent Toastmaster Jim Gould in Oakland Park, Florida, and I'm your Sergeant at Arms. I'm presently doing Presentation Mastery 5. I'm working Engaging Humor, EH2. Transformation happens every year right around this time because I transform from being a recreational scuba diver into a lobster hunter scuba diver. And the transformation happens August 6th every year here in Florida. We were planning on going out on Tuesday, but the 6th, Tuesday, opening day, but the weather did not cooperate. Maybe tomorrow. Madam
Yeah.
Toastmaster.
Oh, yeah, maybe tomorrow. Distinguished Toastmaster Mary Helen Day.
Yes, good morning, Madam President and fellow Toastmasters. My name is Mary Helen Day, and transformation, I absolutely love this word because we have the opportunity to do some sort of transformation through our whole lives. It isn't just in our youth, but it's later on as well. I sent a card to Anna. She's not having any services, Anna Ilson, for her husband. And on it was a butterfly. And if any of you know that a butterfly is a symbol of transformation. So let's all look at that butterfly that resides in each one of us. Madam President.
Oh, yes, great. Toastmaster Gail West.
Good morning, Madam President and fellow Toastmasters. Yes, I'm Gail West in Orlando, Florida. And speaking of this transformation of the little worms to butterflies, I learned after meeting with Pam about butterflies and gardening, and went to a local website about native gardeners, and they were talking about how important native plants are so they would attract butterflies. And before that, for the little worms, for the birds to be able to eat them. They need that. So things that we may think are not so nice, like little worms before they become butterflies, are really important into our ecological system. Thank you. Back to you, Madam
Yes.
President.
Thank you. Yes, we all work together. Toastmaster Pam Scrimshire.
Good morning, my fellow Toastmasters, and yes, our most welcome guest. I am Pam Scrimshire. I live in Windermere, Florida, just outside of Orlando. I have completed the Engaging Humor Pathway and the Motivational Strategy, and I'm currently working on Presentation Mastery Level 3. I'm excited that Zoom has made some transformations on how to do that. But I was thinking at first, Jim mentioned I would call it cataclysmic and only the best form of transforming from having not children to having children. But I'm working on transforming my yard, and sometimes transformations take a really long time. I did not realize that. Soon, the transformation will be complete. I have faith. Madam Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Pam Scrimshire. Next, we have Terry Montealegre.
Thank you, Madam President, and I am Terry Montealegre, Presentation Mastery Level 2. And there has been a lot of transformation in my life. As you know, my two sons, who were on drugs and alcohol since middle school, for so many years of prayer and actions and rehabs and you name it, they finally had a wonderful transformation thanks to the Salvation Army. And they currently stayed working there, employees there, and I'm very grateful to the transformation. I would call them modern day miracles. That's what these transformations are. And I am so grateful for them. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you. Toastmaster Chris Gould.
Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, yes, I am Chris Gould from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I have actually been a member of Toastmasters. You may have heard me tell since I was a little girl, and I was in a junior Toast mistress before they even allowed men. But as an adult, I have been a member since 1983 out in California. 1980 out in California, and then I found Earlybirds as soon as I came to Florida, and the records don't have me as a member until early 90s, but I think it was before that. Anyway, Toastmasters has always just been a staple in my life, a place where I have a community and I get to tell my stories and hear other people's stories. And I've never cared about all the hoopla, and I don't really promote Toastmasters. But Jim and I went to this TLI on Saturday, and which we'll be telling you about later. And I may be going through a transformation to be a Toastmasters cheerleader. It is a cool organization.
Oh,
And we'll tell you more about that in our report later.
Great. Excellent.
Madam President.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chris. Looking forward to hearing that. And then we have behind the screen, the man behind the screen, Toastmaster Randolph Bastine.
Good morning, Madam President, all fellow Toastmasters, and any most welcome guests. I will be on the screen very shortly, just walked into work here at Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am Motivational Strategies Level 3, Transformation. I love that word because I think that we are continually transforming in some form of fashion. Toastmasters has been a big part of my transformation, children, my wife. I think the moment we stop transforming is the moment that we probably say goodbye to this part of our life. But let's all keep transforming, and thank you for that word. Back to you.
Yes. Thank you, Toastmaster Bastine. Okay, I think I've gotten everybody this morning on my screen. And I am Alita Richmond, your president this year, coming to you from Southwest Pennsylvania. Actually, I'm on the West Virginia border where I-70 goes across Washington County. And I am starting on Visionary Communicator Level 4, having completed the rest of it. Transformation. All of you have touched on various methods of transformation. And I want to say, Pam Scrimshire, you're the one I identified with most at this point in my life, because for the past 3 weeks, I have been transforming my deck in front of my house. I took off like 4 feet of the jutted out part, and I still have the extension there for a table and everything, but I've been doing almost all of this by myself. I did have help picking up the 12-foot long boards that I needed for the end. They're very heavy, but nevertheless, I am so thrilled. What a transformation it is. But it's a transformation for me because I am learning so much more about construction of things. I wish I'd known a lot more of this when I was young. I could have probably built something really great. But right now, the transformation is all about Toastmasters, and Jim Gould, you are something else. How did you put me behind you? That was great. So anyway, we're going to move into our meeting. And I am thrilled and delighted to introduce our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Chris Gould.
Thank you, Madam President. What you have to worry about is when Jim sneaks up behind you. That's when that's when the real worries start. Yes, I am your Toastmaster today, and I will be running this 3-ring circus where we have impromptu speaking and prepared speeches. And today we have a report about Toastmasters Leadership Institute, and then evaluations, and we wrap it up with awards, although there's only one speaker today, so that means one evaluator. So the awards today will be limited to the topics, table topics. And speaking of table topics, our topic master to lead that ring of our circus today is Toastmaster Randolph Bastine.
Well, this is a surprise to me. I thought I was a evaluator. However, let's see what we can do.
Sorry, I didn't
okay.
check that on the website. That's what had. I think
It's
Anna
not a
got a
problem.
little messed up this week, and
It's all right. We'll figure
did her
this out.
copy and paste.
Understandably.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Do you think you have
Okay.
something?
We'll figure. Yeah, let's figure this thing out.
Hey,
all right.
A table topic master.
All right. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I am Randolph Bastine, and I'll be your table topic master for today. And for table topics is impromptu speaking, where you will learn to speak on the cuff, some may say. I will ask a question, and I will ask someone to elaborate on a question after I ask the question. And you're also always welcome to pivot. But for table topics, we do have timing requirements. And our timer for today is Distinguished Toastmaster Jim Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bastine. Timing for table topics is 1 to 2 minutes with a 30-second deviation only at the end to qualify. The green will come on at 1 minute, the amber at 1 minute 30 seconds, the red at 2 minutes, and then it's time to wrap it up and run off the stage. Back to you, sir.
Thank you. And table topics is going to be a little bit, it's going to be called the circus today. We're going to be kind of everywhere today. So let's rock with, we're going to start off with, what was the last TV show you binged watched? Toastmaster Terry Monteligre.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master. And the last TV show I watched, well, I'm happy to announce that I was getting my blood pressure a bit high watching the news. And then I was watching some movies, but they were really, really old. And I liked them, but after the excitement of what's going on, then I was like a little bored. So then I have to tell you what I actually watch today is YouTube on my TV. And what do I watch on YouTube and my TV is either traveling programs or spiritual meditations or, oh, we just got a dog, so I even put the meditations and calmness music and all that for little doggies. So I am very chill. I make my own programming, and I am so happy for YouTube that saved me from all the other free channels, but crazy channels that I have. Back to you, Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Terry Monteligre. All right. What food do you love that a lot that people may find a little odd? And this question is going to go to the chef of the group, the one chef that I know. We may have other chefs, but I do know that Toastmaster Jim Gould is one of our chefs of the group.
Mr. Table Topics Master, I think you have me confused with someone who is a chef. I'm a cook.
Oh,
And that has nothing to do with being a chef. Although I used to have a chef's hat. I could fake it. But I'm really a sandwich king. I'm a sandwich master. I know how to build a sandwich, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later in the about the TLI training. I learned something new. But being a foodie is always a problem because I eat too much. And that's not a bad thing normally, but I have a struggle with food and I would love to cook more, but I know that if I cooked more, I would eat more. And it's a struggle when you're this way. But my favorite thing to cook is steak and lobster. And they can both be done in an oven or on the grill. Sometimes they both will really benefit from both. I'll cook my steak in the oven first just to get it done, and then I will sear it on the grill. That's called a reverse sear. You can also start with your sear on the grill and put it in the oven and let it finish cooking to the proper temperature. The proper temperature is very important with these foods. You don't want to overcook your steak. And you really don't want to overcook your lobster because it is tough and stringy and awful. A lot of people don't know how to cook. One of these days I'm going to learn, and then I'll be a chef. Mr. Table Topics Master.
thank you, Toastmaster Jim Gould. And I personally would like to hear a little more about that technique of pre-cooking the steak, whether searing it or putting it in the oven and then transferring it? Yeah, because steaks usually cook pretty fast, so I would love that because I can only imagine that because my wife actually like her steak a little bit more on the well side, so that may help it out to stay tender. So yeah, when you get a chance, I would like to hear about that. Our next question is, you have your own late night talk show. Who do you invite as your first guest? Distinguished Toastmaster Mary Helen Day.
I have my own late night talk show. Fantastic. You know who I would invite? Shonda Rhimes. Now, Shonda Rhimes, if you remember her, she's the gal that writes all those shows like Grey's Anatomy. She's doing the Bridgerton series on Netflix, and she's doing other ones. But this is a woman that's vastly creative, lives her life in her own particular way, and seems to me to be an amazing person to sit down, at least to invite to dinner. I don't know if she'd be on my late night talk show because I think she's busy, but she might want to promote one of her latest shows going on. I think that would be a lot of fun. We want to have someone that is sort of extroverted, that we don't have to tease everything out of them. But I guess the challenge of any late night talk show host is to laugh enough, to tell enough stories, to get your people to share, and to be an all-around great host. And that's a challenge to be that way. And I don't think there's a lot of people out there that can do it very well. So the ones that we have, instead of putting them down, we need to praise them for doing a good job and keeping us entertained for all these years. Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you. That is awesome. And it will be, I'm sure your TV show would be very interesting because you have told us about some podcasts that I've checked out myself that's been very interesting. So I know you'll keep up with the good topics. Next up, we have, what song always gets you out on the dance floor? Toastmaster Gail West.
Oh my, Mr. Table Topic Master and fellow Toastmasters. Well, it depends on the mood I'm in. If I'm in a happy mood, I can't even remember the titles of songs anymore. I'm so old. It's just the sound of the music itself. And sometimes if I'm sort of sad, I might do sort of a waltzy kind of around in the kitchen thinking about things. So I don't have a particular song or a particular dance, as I say. It just depends upon the mood that I'm in. Now, the person you ought to watch dance is Chris Gould. She really knows how to dance. She has so many talents, but I don't know if you've ever seen her dance. I have a little video clip of her when I went to one of the rallies that they did. And it was simply a line dancing event where everybody else was invited to get up and join in. I didn't join into that because I was watching Chris. She really has the rhythm. Now, I don't know if she learned that from her mother after the hula lessons that they had, but boy, can she dance. So I recommend watching a video of her. Back to you, Table Topic Master.
Thank you for that, Toastmaster Gail West. Next question. What activity instantly calms you? And this question goes to Toastmaster Alita Richmond.
Mr. Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, calm this person, please. There's hardly a time when this person is calm. In fact, that's how I started doing Tai Chi and yoga because a friend of mine recommended it. I'm always hyper. And that probably goes back to my favorite food to eat, which is chocolate, maybe. But I use that hyperness to do a lot of things. What instantly calms me? I would say the fact that I have learned the deep breathing technique. I think our friend Marie Rock would identify with that aspect of the deep breathing, the slow inhale, the slow exhale, and then being mindful of the serenity around me that is here for all of us if we can find it. If we can find it, slow down, just slow down. And that is a task for me, to slow down. But I do recognize the value of it. Back to you, Mr. Bastine.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alita Richmond. Yes, and those are some good tips. I myself am a fan of Tai Chi. I mean, I would like to do it a lot more. Eventually, that time will come.
Yeah.
Next question is, if you could choose any person from history to be your imaginary friend, who would it be and why? Toastmaster Chris Gould.
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, an imaginary friend from history. And I've tried to think of this. A hero of mine is Madeleine Albright, but I don't know if I would want her as my best friend. I'd want somebody that was more playful and a dancer. There we go, a dancer. I swear, I think Gail West sees the inside of me because yes, when I am on the dance floor, I feel like I am just an absolute star and I can just dance to any kind of music. Polk Salad Annie is my favorite to get me moving. But when I watch a video of myself, oh, it is cringeworthy. So I appreciate that, Gail, and I say, yeah, you really see me, and still from history. I'm gonna have to think about that because I would like to have an imaginary friend who was real, but at some time in the past. Huck Finn, maybe. Mr. Topic Master.
Thank you. Thank you. And I take it that being that we have only one speaker today, we have quite a bit more time, correct? All right. Next question is, would you rather be the funniest or the smartest person in the room, and why? And this question goes to Toastmaster Pam Scrimcher.
Oh, the funniest or the smartest? Can one be both, perhaps? Because actually, I'm reading a book about comedians right now, and it's a tough life. It's a tough life. They're struggling. It's a novel, but I think it's based on the reality of all the time having to be on and to be funny and to be thinking. And I really admire people that have that much energy. I don't have that quick wit, the people that can pun, the people that can immediately put something together. That takes a lot of work. And I don't think I need a lot of calming like other people are talking about. I think I can get pretty calm pretty easily. Give me a book, give me my little recliner, which I swore I would never have in my house, and yet I do. And then my cat next to me. So I don't think I'm going to be the funniest, quick-witted person. So I'm going to have to go for the smartest. And that's sort of easy. You just find enough dumb people to be around. Oh, and I've decided after reading more and more, Terry said you can't watch the news. I don't watch the news, but I read. I'm thinking that more and more people now have brain worms than I used to think really do, because golly, there's some people out there, you just got to wonder, why would you say that out in public? But they do. So I'm thinking the brain worms are taking over. It's probably going to be our latest epidemic. I guess it's not pandemic yet, but eventually we'll discover that many of us have those. So if you can just hang in there and let other people's brains be eaten by worms, you'll be the smartest person in the room. I think that's the easiest thing to do. Being funny is way too much work. And when you get to a certain age, just sitting with your cat and reading a book, the way to go. Mr. Topic Master.
Thank you for that. Oh, the brain worms. That sounds like a horror flick. I hope that doesn't come to pass. And as far as, when I asked a question and you brought up a book, I automatically thought about it like wait a minute, that's like a trick question because I've heard many documentaries and things about being funny. You have to be smart. And so that's like a trick question. So I think you have to be both. So yeah, and to Chris, Toastmaster Chris Gould, your imaginary friend with AI nowadays, it's getting closer than you know. You're going to be able to have that friend. All right. The next question is, forgive me, I had it locked and loaded and I lost it. Well, that's okay. What's your favorite way to waste time online? And this question is for our talented timer, distinguished Toastmaster Jim Day.
Thank you, Mr. Topic Master. What is the best way to waste time on the internet,
Your
or
favorite?
the favorite? I don't think I have a favorite way of wasting time. Although since I retired, I'm working at it, trying to get more and more time wasted, thrown away. But I like to follow a lot of the little posts that they have regarding aircraft incidents, new aircraft construction, all that kind of transportation or aviation related, because I've been involved in it for so many years that I don't want to be totally left behind on what's going on in the world with aviation. And when I'm out with my friends, such as the Romeo Riders or the people from Harley, a number of them are enthused about aviation. So I get asked a lot of questions about why did this happen to a certain aircraft, or which is the better one. I don't know that I have the correct answers, but by watching as many of the technical shows regarding it, I'm at least able to not make a complete fool of myself when responding. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to do something a little different. What's the best or worst prank you've ever played on someone? And, we have a slim crew today. I want to call on Toastmaster Randolph Bastine. All right. The prank, to be honest, was played on me first. And we had just came back when I was in school in Daytona. I went to Bethune-Cookman, and I used to sing in the traveling choir. So I was dressed in my suit and everything, and one of the other singers in the choir, he had a super soaker. I don't know if you all are familiar with those things. And I said, don't do it. Please don't do it. But we're in school, we're teens, and of course he didn't listen. He soaked me, and he soaked me good. But what he didn't know is that I was friends with the RA in the dorm room, which, it's good and bad, because an RA, that's a job that you probably should be a little more responsible with. However, he was more of a friend than more responsible. So he gave me the key to that guy's room when he wasn't there. And since he wanted to have some fun with water, I took a bucket of water, tossed it on his bed, made his bed back up. And, late night I get a call like, how did you do this? And I just had all kind of good laughter going on inside, because I was like, I told you not to do that. And yeah, that's probably the best prank I've had just yet. Thank you. Back to you. Oh, that's me. All right. I mean, we touched on everybody. So we will now go for the timing requirements from our distinguished Toastmaster, Jim Day. Did everyone meet the timing requirements?
Everyone qualified. Terry, 139, Jim Gould, 201, Mary Helen, 117, Gail, 113, Alita, 124, Chris, 125, Pam, 148, myself, 143, and yourself, 138.
Let's please vote.
Please vote.
Yes, and now I return the meeting back to our Toastmaster, Toastmaster Chris Gould.
Well, I was all prepared to say that the table topic award must go to the table topic master because he did the whole table topics impromptu, but then he went and did a table topic also. So, and the moral of his story is don't mess with Randolph. Whoa, that's a real bedwetter. At this point, we take a couple of minutes to see if we're together. And even though we only have one speaker, I don't know, Randolph was down as an evaluator also. And we do
I'll
not
still
need,
do it.
you'll
Oh,
still
if
do
we-
it?
Okay,
if you have someone, you can continue to evaluate.
So we're
It's just
gonna
if you-
we'll have Randolph evaluate Mary Helen and Day, and then Chris Gould, you don't want an evaluator?
I don't want an evaluator. No, this is a report. It's not a speech.
Got it. Okay, Randolph, are you good with that?
Yep, I'm okay with it. Yep.
Perfect.
And now,
Okay.
now Chris Gould, you know that Kip would say, if you're
I know.
talking, you make it a project.
I know, and I thought about it, and there probably is a project in there somewhere. Maybe I'll do it post, but no.
Yeah. You could do it post.
I wanted to do a report on this meeting last week.
Well, actually, Jim is going to contribute to your conversation, right, Chris?
Right. It's
So
a
we
dual.
might consider that somewhat of an evaluation because he's going to add things that you did right and maybe you should have added. So there you go. We got an
Wow.
evaluator.
Whatever.
Oops. I got it.
No evaluator. Okay, so everybody you still have a minute and a half to go fill your coffee cups. Yes, and very lightly. That's nice. So if people want to say anything, they definitely can. But oh. The dictionary comes up with a word of the year, or maybe we need a word of the decade, and it should be unmute or mute. Wow. Anyway. That was some very nice little soft music that Jim was playing to go along with our timer. At this point, we are ready for our prepared speech and a report. And Mr. Timer, what are the requirements today?
The requirements are for an 8 to 10 minute speech, and even the discussion for Chris is 8 to 10 minutes. At 8 minutes, we will turn on the green. At 9 minutes, the amber. At 10 minutes, we'll turn on the red, and it's time to vacate the premises. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Our speaker this morning is distinguished Toastmaster Mary Helen Day, and she did find a project to put this in. dynamic leadership. The title of her speech today is Planning for the Future. Mary Helen is a longtime Toastmaster. Currently, she's Vice President of Membership of Earlybird Toastmasters. Today, she will be talking about the challenge and rewards of recruiting new members and retaining current members. Take it away, Mary Helen.
Madam Toastmaster and my fellow Toastmasters, here today, we are somewhat of a small group to be listening to this message, but this is a group that has a lot of heart, cares a lot about the group continuing, and is looking forward to having an active future. One of the ways that we have an active future is by expanding our social networks. And Toastmasters, as Toastmaster Chris Gould mentioned, is a very important part of this, and it gives us a structure around which we can hook into another community in our lives. Now, what do I mean by another community? Well, we have family, we have friends, we have other organizations, we live in neighborhoods, we belong to different clubs, perhaps. We might be active in sports, we might be active in other communication vehicles. But the whole thing is we are active, whether we are still working or we are in retirement. I hate the word retirement. It sounds wonderful to people that are still working because they can't. What I hear from people is that I cannot wait till I retire. And then for some people that retire, nothing really happens after that because they have nothing ready for them. Well, I want to suggest to everyone here that, Toastmasters is a way that we continue to have a forum for our years ahead of us. Now, we have one youngster in the group, Toastmaster Randolph Bastine, and he is what I would call an anomaly in this group. Why? The vast majority of our members here are seniors. We are all above the age of 60 years old. And if we were to recruit the ideal person in this club, we would have been recruiting all along to have younger members like Randolph that would sustain this group through not just through the next couple years, but through the next decades. Remember, this club has existed for 60 years. That is quite an accomplishment. And at some point in time, it was solely on the back of one or two people. And I would reference Toastmaster Kip Barkley. I still remember the time we had 4 or 5 members attending the meetings when we were meeting in Denny's in Fort Lauderdale. And I said, Kip, you know what? We should just pack this meeting up and be done with it. That's what I said. And he said, no. He said, I like this group. I like this meeting. I like this time. I like Toastmasters. I'm committed to being with this group. And I said, okay, if you have that commitment, then I will commit to following along with your leadership. So what did he provide at that time? He provided a compelling leadership message. I'm going to be here. I'm going to maintain this meeting. I like this meeting. I like this time. I'm going to be here. I have a feeling that there's several people in this club that have joined together to replace Kip Barkley in a sense. It's no longer a one-person dynamic leadership. It's also a leadership of several people in this club that have been members for a long time. What is our challenge? Well, our biggest challenge, of course, is our age. How attractive is this for younger members coming in? Well, truthfully, I have to be honest, it's not very attractive because people want to be around people like themselves. So how do we create something that is attractive for us? We may not be able to attract new members or younger members, but we can attract people exactly like ourselves. Now, who are we? If we had to identify ourselves, I would say we are a group of intelligent people. We are a group that is fairly active for our age. We are a group that has many interests. We are a group that is looking forward to the future rather than looking back in the past. So if we had to identify people in our community, and our community is our family, our friends, our networks, our neighborhood, who we are around, our other associations, to find people exactly like us. And that with that, we can have a dynamic group that will go forward in the future. Now, one of the things that we have in our favor here, folks, is that we have a very well-run organization. We have people that can do several jobs without a hitch. So we have that in place. We have that leadership base in place amongst us. I recently dropped out of another Toastmaster group because there were some leaders, but it was not very organized. It was very difficult, and it was difficult to bring new people into the group and along their paths. So my suggestion for this particular group is we need to identify a little bit more clearly about pathways. Some of us have had the interest and other of us not. I have to be honest with you, I haven't had that much interest in it, but it exists, and it's what's the most important thing in Toastmasters is to get our new members understanding how it functions and how they can develop themselves through using the Pathways method. The other thing is we need a commitment to invite people. Now, what's the best way to get members in our group? Honestly, it's inviting people to come to a meeting. Now, I have different suggestions on what we can do through the year. I'm the vice president of membership, and I have often been accused of, well, she's not going to chase you. So what does that mean? She's not going to chase you. That's a bad thing for a vice president of membership, because a vice president of membership should be chasing people. They should be going after people. They should be encouraging people. They should be bringing them on. So my challenge for this year as your vice president of membership is to chase you a little bit. So even though you've been a member for a long time, expect a phone call from me, expect some questions. Maybe we can find out what you're working on, that we can develop some speeches or ability to share some things in your life. So expect me to chase you a little bit more than I've ever chased anyone at all. So I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking about, okay, so let's have a family day where we invite a member of our families in. And I'm thinking, who would I invite? Oh, Jim Day is already here. He's a member of my family. I do have sons, but they notoriously are difficult to get up in the morning. But maybe I could invite a son. But I was thinking, who else is in my family? I have sisters. I have a brother. I have cousins. I have 3 cousins up in Tampa, Florida that I have connected with. And they're older than me, but believe me, they have more energy than I will ever see in a day. So if we think out of our box, when I was in network marketing, we did this all the time. We did what they called a memory jog. Just do a memory dump of every single person you know. It doesn't matter who they are. And out of that memory dump, there are people that might enjoy a meeting such as ours. Actually, 68% of organizations have difficulty with member recruitment. So we're not alone, but what we have is a beautiful base. It is a gold mine of talent. We just got to get other people to see that gold mine and to appreciate it for what it is. So, folks, I may be the vice president of membership, but the burden, truthfully, is on the rest of us to waken up our senses and think of people that might enjoy. Now, sometimes those people aren't people you think might need it, might need to be better communicators. They're people that might enjoy it, because when we enjoy and have fun in a meeting, it is the best time of the day, because after that meeting, we are enlivened, we are transformed, we are ready to meet the day and feel great, and not to forget the meeting until the next week. Now, sometimes, truthfully, I have to confess, I have been on neutral zone. Yeah, okay, I'm showing up on Thursday. I didn't have to do much other than maybe prepare a speech, but okay, we can do that. Or we can do the counting or the grammarian. We can do that. That's easy enough. But be prepared to really engage and bring the people out of this world that are exactly like us, that would enjoy maintaining another community of wonderful, welcoming, talented, intelligent people. I love to be in a group like that, and I am so glad that I am in Earlybird Toastmasters. I'm committed to you as your vice president of membership, and I hope that you commit not only to me, but to this whole group for this next year to enliven it and to bring in at least four more new members. That's what we need to be presidents distinguished. But that's not the whole thing. It's to keep us as a lively, entertaining, instructive, educational group. Madam Toastmaster.
Very inspirational, Mary Helen. And I feel the same way. And I have never been one to invite others. And one thing I will have to add to that then, because I think I was very successful in the one person I have invited, Gail West. And it's just when you know that a person would be a good fit, you know it. And there aren't, I don't run into all that many, but Gail and I spend a lot of time together online with Geeks on Tour stuff. So I knew that would be a good fit. And this then leads to my talk. This is not a prepared speech. Jim and I went to the TLI, I'll tell you what that is in a second, on Saturday. And I obviously was going to give a little report about it in the beginning of the meeting. But when I saw there was no speaker, I told Anna, well, we could fill that time. So here you go. The TLI stands for Toastmaster Leadership Institute. And there's several throughout the year. This was the last one of the summer. There are breakout sessions that teach officers what their job is, but it's not just about that. It's just about Toastmasters in general. And I want to make sure that everybody is aware, this is the 100-year anniversary of the Toastmasters organization. That's a pretty big deal. And the leaders of District 47 were there. And I want to make sure people know about the District 47 website, all sorts of good stuff there. So you just go to Toastmasters D47.org. And this is where you will see anything that's coming up, club officer trainings and TLIs, contests, special events. You'll also see who the leadership people are, and contests. And somewhere in here, there is a recording of all the contest winners over the years that you can watch and be inspired by. So that is something I encourage you all to do. If we went because we didn't have anything else to do on Saturday and said, gee, this real people. We could get together with real people in a real place. And out in Davie, where there are schools, I thought it was just Nova University, but no, this was at FAU, and we passed by a University of Florida campus. Pretty cool. And just to prove that we really were there, here is Jim and me, District 47, Division B and Division A, I think is the sign I'm standing in front of. The keynote speaker was Lois Margolin. She is the immediate past district director, and she was great. Her talk was Yellow Brick Road. And the point was that if you're in Toastmasters, there are all these pathways, but there's also the big path that you can stay within your club and become officers of your club, but you can also go up a level to area officers and then up a level to district. And I loved her way of putting how she went along that path is because she has a helium arm.
Helium hand.
Helium hand, okay. Helium hand that she couldn't keep. Well, And I understand that, but I have learned as a scuba diver, I have lead weights available to me, and I have learned how to weight down that hand. I am thrilled with doing anything I can at the club level. I really am not interested in going up, but it was inspirational and just such good people. Oh, I'm not sharing now, am I? Such good people that were there. And as I say, just inspirational. And who are Toastmasters? Toastmasters are people who want to improve themselves. They're smart, they're outgoing. So being amongst a group of Toastmasters is just wonderful. And there's no other organization quite like it. The sole purpose of Toastmasters International is to develop people. Wow. There were 15 breakout sessions. I went to 3 and Jim went to 3 other. I picked this one called Moments of Truth because I thought it was something about life lessons, but no, it is a specific Toastmaster thing. I had never heard about it. It's part of the Successful Club series, and it's something we should do. I'll work with Anna to schedule a meeting. What moments of truth are, and you can find the document, yeah, here. What moments of truth are is those points at which you check and see if your Toastmasters Club is doing well. Do you make a good first impression? Do you have a good membership orientation? Do we have good fellowship, variety, and communication? And there's a PowerPoint, there's a checklist, there's a whole procedure that we can do this moments of truth as a club. And for example, I certainly see places where we can improve in membership orientation. Gail told us earlier at the meeting today that she didn't know how to email everybody. That's something that should be in a little, new member handbook that we hand out. And I don't know, I'd never thought of that. Membership strength, achievement recognition. We used to give out these ribbons. Now we don't have any of that. Is there some other way we could do recognition? Then Jim went to, here we go. Jim went to a breakout. You want to tell him about this, Jim?
Yeah, sure. The sandwich method is something that I've learned. We normally do our evaluations and we call it the Oreo cookie approach. And I like that idea because I like cookies. But as I said earlier today, I am the sandwich king and I never thought of it this way. And the best parts to make great sandwich, you need good bread. And bread really is the covering for the sandwich. It's the top and the bottom. That's the good parts that you talk about when you're doing an evaluation, right? And then in the middle, you have the contents of the sandwich. Now, as a sandwich king, I always wanted to fill that up with stuff. I like to have a big sandwich. A Dagwood is perfect for me. And what'll happen is you get lost in that because in an evaluation, you don't want to have too much bad stuff, right? You want to have more good. So make it a thin sandwich, okay? Really good bread on the beginning, really good bread at the end, and just a couple of really good evaluation points, a couple of things that can be improved upon. And she put up some nice slides that had some information about the things that you can evaluate on. And are those still in your?
I didn't pick up those.
Okay, so I have some slides that we'll show or that we'll have available, and I think this is a whole speech that I'll do and in the future. So evaluations, that was great. Now, that was just a speaker speaking about evaluations. We also had the regular Toastmasters training while we were there. So I sat through another Sergeant at Arms process.
So lots more that we could talk about. And I went to another breakout session for pathways. This speaker was wonderful. I finally have a grasp on the concept of pathways. And once again, I've thought about inviting her to come speak. I think she would, but her speech was, her session was an hour long. So I'm not sure. I'll have to ask her, can she put that into like an 8 to 10 speech? If so, I'm going to invite her to come. If not, then I'll do something. And here's just one slide from that. The paths are changing. There are 11 paths currently, but whenever they get around to changing the base camp sometime in 2024, it will be down to 6. But if you picked one of the ones that are being dropped, no worries, you can complete it. But these are the 6 that will be the only ones going forward. And this was a well-attended event. They said they had the most attendees of this event since the pandemic. And what would you say, Jim? There was 100, 200? I think there was more than 100.
400. I think there were more like 300 there.
Really? Yeah, it was well attended, and it was in a university campus, so it felt very educational. And this was how they recognized everybody who assisted in putting on the event. And last but not least, I want to show you, anytime I come up, I find a good Toastmaster resource, I put it on our blog. And the blog is earlybirdtm.blogspot.com, or you can get to it from our main website. There's a link there, but let me just show you this. So if I go to Earlybird Blogspot, then this is where all our meetings are listed. If you click on TM resources, this is where I put everything I can find about. So here are the meeting roll crib sheets, for example. But I learned about this document called the Navigator. And if you click there, it tells you everything you need to know about Toastmasters. So it's a 22 page document that talks about the pathways, the evaluation, everything about Toastmasters. And so whatever, just check these resources out sometimes. And where's and that's it. That's my report. And there will be more. There will be more. We learned a lot and we're really inspired. Right, Jim?
Oh, yeah. Any questions?
Any questions? Yes.
No,
So
you.
how often will they be doing these TLIs in person? Do you think twice a year or?
They do them twice a year, once in the summer and once in the winter, yes.
And you can find out at toastmastersd47.org on the calendar. It tells you the club officer trainings and TLIs. You'll be able to see everything.
They also have some virtual TLIs during the year, so you can join for Zoom and choose your different paths and still get officer training credits.
I love the option of being able to go online to the TLIs, but I remember having to go in person for training, and it was always so inspiring. I never wanted to go, never wanted to take the time to go, but when I went, it was great because I got to communicate with Toastmasters. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. So we encourage, if you have the time, do it.
Yes, this may not be exactly TLI, but we were talking about membership. I know there's a lot of Toastmasters who've lost their clubs in the last year. I happened to look because when I first moved up here, there was a club that met. They're no longer, they're gone. I don't know, I never went. Is there a way, does Toastmasters, you talk about chasing people, fine. These are people that probably some of those members were members for 20, 30 years. Some of them probably were new in some of these more focused clubs, like clubs that meet a certain companies. Do we know if Toastmasters has a way of being in touch? I know we have our old list, but I'm thinking like this club here in Windermere, or not Windermere, Ocoee, that's gone. Is there any way to get in touch with those
question.
people?
I think the best way would be to find out whose district and area it is, and they might have that information because you can find that information on the Toastmasters website.
You know, there may be another way. You could probably clarify this through Toastmasters International, but if you go on to the district dashboard, you can go back years. I don't know how many years you can go back, but you can identify the divisions and the clubs, and you can click on those. And well, I don't know as far as the members. You
Is
may
there
be
usually
able,
a contact number sometimes with the clubs?
I'm trying to remember that because I was well, they were all active at the point. You know what? I would go through Toastmasters International and Pam and pose that question, because I bet you there are many, many, many Toastmasters who lost their in-person meetings and then never were encouraged to check on to an online meeting. And in that regard, Mary Helen, that might be a source for new members here in our club too.
Well, and it was daunting, you know, it's so hard to remember these things. It was daunting to do online at first. Now everybody has
Now it's
suffered
easy.
through it. And they've,
Right.
you know, I bet there's very few people in this country and probably in the world that has not done a Zoom meeting of some sort of other.
Yeah.
But I'm just surprised that Toastmaster hasn't, because we know we've lost, you know, I know Ocoee's gone, but I'm sure in Broward County, I know there's clubs that are gone. And those are people that, I mean, they're, you know.
There's a position in the district called Club Growth Director.
Yes.
And in District 47, it's Susan Vanetta. And yeah, I'll bet you we could contact her and ask that question. So look for the district. And it's time to move on. How, Mr. Chimer, we're not voting, but I still just want to know how much time both of us took.
Well, Mary Helen stayed within her designated time frame and did a 10-minute and 14 seconds. No more
Mary
5 to 7s for her.
She's going to lose her DTM designation. Don't time me.
And then Chris, you went for 11 minutes, 16 seconds before any questions. That was just through the end of your.
Okay. Well, I almost asked for 10 to 12, so I'm happy with that.
I talked a lot. That's okay.
Now it's time for our general evaluator, Pam Scrimshire.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Yes, the third part of our meeting is the evaluation, where we're either going to be eating cookies or sandwiches. I'm not clear anymore what we're doing here, but hey, I'm willing to give it a go. But they can't be huge cookies or huge sandwiches. There are time limits. Mr. Timer, what are the time limits for our evaluations?
Time limits for evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes with a 30-second deviation, both at the beginning and the end to qualify. At 2 minutes, the green will come on. At 2 minutes, 30 seconds, the amber. And at 3 minutes, the red. And you have 30 seconds to wrap it up.
Thank you. This morning, we only have one evaluation, and I'll just say, Toastmaster Barkley is rolling in his grave that somebody spoke for free. You never speak for free at Toastmasters. You get credit, or you get money, you get accolades, you get something. So don't do that again, just saying. But we do have one evaluation. Feed us what you're going to tell us, Toastmaster Bestine.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. And thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Mary Helen Day. First off, all I can say is wow, wow, wow. I don't know. This speech definitely should have had the opportunity to be voted on because this is going to be a praise session, I must say, because everything from your eye contact was excellent. I don't know if you had notes. If you did, you probably can do a whole nother speech on how you positioned the notes because it was spot on from your visuals. You have the nice red top on. It was amazing. And then the content of the speech. It's the challenge of finding new members and keeping current members. I didn't expect the turn where you went. And then I lost track a little bit because you called my name as well, but I didn't expect it was a personal speech almost. You like poured your heart out in speaking of how you appreciate the intelligence of the club, the existing club that we have, and it had truth. And you said that, hey, how do we find people that want to be a part of this club? People that things like us, people. And for far as one thing I did disagree with was that because I would say you said younger people wants to be with younger people. I mean, that may be true. I have to disagree because if they're smart, they'll understand that this is a group that's very inspiring. And I must say that you all continue to inspire me with to know that personally, because when I hear about your stories, your journeys, your everything, I tell my wife, I go home and I say that, it lets me know that because you get caught up in the busy times. We can get caught up in busy times and think that this is it. But when I hear your stories of you, you raising your children, and even now we have two couples in our club that share their stories of how life after everything, you constantly traveling, and it's amazing. Like I say, anyone that's if they're young and not in this club, they're doing themselves a disservice. And we have members that's everywhere as well. So it opens up your mind that we have Toastmaster I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but showing us Spain, and I got the red light. But I also wanted to say, last thing I want to say, if you're up for it, I think part of this speech should definitely be used for recruiting. I don't know how that can be done, or maybe you can, if you wanted to just redo a part of it, because it was passionate and it was amazing. Thank you very much for that speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Bastine. Yes, I often wonder if I know we would never change anything, if evaluations of long speeches should have more time, but they don't at this stage of the game. And since we only have one, we're not going to have to worry about voting on it. We're good to go. So as general evaluator, I get to evaluate the whole meeting. And as usual, we started on time, which is our goal in life, because people do have jobs or they have things they have to get to. So we start on time and we end on time. We get reports from our helpers, our grammarian, Toastmaster Richmond. How did our people do as talking pretty today?
Oh my goodness gracious. This was a tough evaluation. There were so many excellent. Right off the get-go, Randolph Bastine, as our surprise table topics master, told us that we are welcome to pivot from the question, which was great. And during the time, he's going through his questions and he says he couldn't find it. He said, I had it locked and loaded. And they referred to our timer, distinguished Toastmaster Jim Day, as our talented timer. Other people's, Jim Gould, I'm a foodie. I'm not a chef, I'm a cook. and he told us about the reverse sear of steaks. Gail West, I love Gail West. I can't remember the names of those songs anymore. I just remember how they sound. I can relate to that. But she pointed out that Chris Gould really has the rhythm. And then Chris went on to tell us that her favorite song to dance to is Polk Salad Honey. I mean, I was really engaged this morning with all these creative and descriptive word phrases that put me right there. However, Chris pointed out that any video of herself would be cringeworthy. Oh, let's see. Funniest or smartest, Pam Scrimshire pointed out that more and more people have brain worms. They're taking over. That was great. And then Randolph surprised us all by being a Table Topics participant himself. And he taught us to do not mess with Randolph Bastine. Our speakers today were phenomenal. But I'll tell you, Mary Helen, I agree with Randolph. I don't think of Randolph as younger. I think of him as a great addition to our club. And I don't think it's age. You says, what is our challenge, our age? I totally disagree with you. Look at this group of people. They are delightful. And not everybody is that old, but let's see. People like to be around people like ourselves. Yes. And who are we? We are intelligent people. We are people who continue to grow and look to grow. That we are a very well-run organization. And you had all kinds of good suggestions there. And then we move on to the Chris Gould's presentation. I loved Chris's helium hand, but she is held down by her scuba weights. We are people who want to improve ourselves. She talked about moments of truth. Now, that is something that I had never heard of until I got involved in District 13. They are all about moments of truth, man. Boom, boom. And I'm like, what is it? But yes, that whole sheet there, and we have all kinds of programs on it. The sandwich method by our cook, Jim Gould, the Sandwich King. He was giving us that example. Because we have a lot of time, but not a whole bunch. So many things here. And then you gave us so many good points from the TLI. And I can personally tell you that District 47, since I got back involved with y'all back in 2020, I have attended many of the online programs, TLIs, and special programs presented by District 47. And Christine Campbell was quite a hoot. She had all kinds of wonderful programs with a lot of different speakers. I encourage you, hit that District 47 website, find out what's going on. But other districts have these things too. You can drop in on any of them. Pardon me?
We're going to have to cut you off soon. We don't.
Yeah, I know, but I just want to say we did have a member who said, and that's a whole nother thing, which I think is pretty American, but people who are not in this clubs do themselves a disservice. And so the trophy today, look, the trophy today goes to Randolph Bastine because he was so clever throughout. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Richmond. And our off-counted report, Toastmaster Montalegre.
No, I'm
sorry. I apologize. Toastmaster West. You were,
as I said
you were
at
in
the
that
beginning,
square and you moved on me. I was looking at the square. Sorry. Toastmaster West. I apologize. Take it away.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, and fellow Toastmasters. I didn't have the script to introduce this, but the aw counter counts pause words like aw and ums and you knows and so's and ands. And this group is very, very good. You You've only used, only 3 people used one time. I don't know if I should name them. Sorry about my throat. Alita used it once. Randolph used it once. Mary Helen used it once. The thing that's always puzzled me when I even listen to all reports is how to distinguish between the use of and when it was used as a connecting word or as a pause word. But everybody in this group, except our distinguished Toastmaster Jim Day, used and many times. That's one thing that in Chris's talk, that's one thing that Chris uses over and over and over again is the word and. The other one is the word so. So again, it can be a word that means therefore. And so if I just used it, if you're using it as therefore, that's legitimate. But if you're using it as a pause word, it's not. I detected that Mary Helen used so 3 or 4 times as a pause word. So did Jim use it one time, but not many of the others used it that much today. So basically, we're really pretty good folks. Nobody used nobody used but it was and so and 1 or 2 you knows. Back to you, Madam Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster West. Quickly now, because yes, we are starting to use our time up. I think we did a lovely job. One of the things we're good about is stepping up to the plate if we need people to fill in spots because we are now on vacation and other reasons people are not here this morning. One thing that catches my ear at places is jargon and initialization. And if you do that, it's exclusive. That means people that know and people that don't know. I thought Chris did a very good thing today in that she said, TLI, I'll tell you what that is later. So I didn't have to worry about, well, what is TLI? And I always have to remember what is TLI because it's not natural in my brain. I do know it, but I have to think. But have you ever gone to a place where they're talking in jargon and you're supposed to know what the heck they're talking about? That's exclusive. I really think that was a good use of it because it caught our ear, made us pay attention, and then we found out what TLI means. I encourage you all to do that. I think yes, the end of what I need to say is general evaluator. So I will return control of the lectern and the center space, although I've now jumped to a corner. Toastmaster Chris Gould.
Are we good or what? We had a very short meeting today. We needed to fill it up. We did it, but I still think we're going to end on time. We have one award to give for table topics. Randolph Bastine. And yet, I think we could take an excerpt of Mary Helen's speech and some of Randolph's evaluation to do a promotional video for Early Birds. I now return control to our president, Alita Richmond.
Okay, great. Yes. Sorry about taking so much time. I thought we had all this time.
I was one of the biggest culprits.
Yeah. In any event, it was a delightful meeting, as they all are. And I am so happy that we record these so that the members who could not be with us can see what they missed today and actually then not miss it at all. I don't know, are we taking roles for the next